Thank you, everybody, for your presence. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being. My name is Carlos Moreno. I am a scientist. I am the scientific director of the ETI chair at the Sorbonne University, Entrepreneurship, Territory, and Innovation. It's a pleasure for us to share with you during 1 hour our research about the territory by hyperproximity, the city of 15 minutes and the territory of 30 minutes. Lionel Brie is a smart city business manager of our partner GFI. Mr. Paul Liagran, this is the data scientist in charge of maps data visualization. And Mathieu Pessin here, this is the CEO of the dynamic startup Smart2B specialist in eco-blockchain. I want to introduce our research focused on the concept of hyperproximity. What is the hyperproximity? Our project is a new idea based on the discover in the territorial proximity the essential urban social functions in order to be happy as citizen in the 15 minutes in the compact zone or 13 minutes in the low or medium areas. Our chair has been developing the concept of high quality societal living, HQSL. This is very important because when we discuss about smart cities, many people consider that smart cities with a technocentrical approach based on silicium, algorithm, and the possibility to improve the life of citizens by apps, by diverse technological solutions. In our case, we think that the real problem today in cities and in territories is, in fact, to improve the quality of life of citizens. The question is not more to be clever, to be smart, but to be happy. How can we define happy citizens? Our research is based on a matrix, the matrix of high-quality societal living. At the heart of this matrix, we have been modelizing the 6 essential urban social functions to be in a city or to be in a territory. The 6 essential urban functions are living, working, supplying, caring, learning, and enjoying. We consider that if each one of citizens has the possibility to access of the set of 6 urban social functions in a short distance, in a short perimeter, not more than 15 minutes by soft mobilities, by walking, by biking in particular, we have the possibility to optimize my available time for live with myself and my family. This is the well-being state. We have the possibility as well to increase my sociability with myself, my neighborhood, and my colleagues of work. And we have the possibility to reduce my commuting and to have myself with the planet a better relationship with in a planet sustainable and inclusive. Our research is focused on how can we offer in a short distances the access for each one of citizens for these 6 urban social functions with the possibility, of course, to increase the 3 states: my well-being, my sociability, and my sustainable and inclusive planet. We wanted to propose to the international community today in a Smart City Expo World Congress our methodology. We have the possibility to take, of course, our white paper with this methodology in English or in French. Of course, you could visit our website. Our methodology is based on 4 steps. The first one is to discover my city, to discover my territory. Still more, to discover my districts, to discover, in fact, the different places where I live. And for that, we have been developing in a very important activity for collect all kind of data or set of data. The open source data, the official sources of data, the data of different services. When we have been developing this collect, we wanted to classify each one of data in a new cities or territorial ontology. Ontology is the capability for modelizing a complex system as cities or territories. What is the complexity of system is to decompose the 6 urban social functions: living, working, supplying, caring, learning, and enjoying. And each one of 6 urban social functions were, in this case, linked with different data collected. The third step is to explore this ontology for discovering my city, for discovering my proximity, because many people go to the long distances for accessing to social functions, in fact, available in the short distances of their localization. With the data visualization, with the maps, we have the possibility to reveal the matching of my different data classified with an ontology, and we could observe the link between different urban social functions, uses, services, and infrastructures. The third step is to projects to change, to observe the availability in the day, in the week, in the month, in the year, or imagine in the next year, in the next decade, the urban transformations by the urban projects. And we have the possibility, in fact, for finishing, to imagine how can we develop new services if we wanted to develop for citizens the capabilities for satisfying the different functions. This is, for example, the first level, the macro level of the urban ontology. We could observe at the center the 6 main social functions for happy citizens in the city of 15 minutes. Living, working, supplying, enjoying, learning, caring, and we have the different trees in order to understand better what is to live anywhere, what is to work, what is to supply, enjoy, learning, and caring. And in this way, we wanted to propose a new index based on the existence in a perimeter of each one the urban social functions. The HQSL index is in fact composed of the presence or absence or incomplete presence of each one of these urban social functions. For that, we have decided with the Sorbonne ETI chair and our partner GFI, a company specialized in data science in territorial data, to implant our project in a real experimentation in the Parisian territory. I am as well the special envoy for smart cities for the mayor of Paris, Ms. Anne Hidalgo, and we have been supporting by the city of Paris with 2 districts, the 18 and 19 districts in the north of Paris, and 3 cities outskirts of Paris, Pantin, Aubervilliers, Saint-Denis. And this is our file for experimenting the concept of the city of 15 minutes and the quality of life for citizens in the short distance. I propose to Lionel Brie to explain you in the detail this experimentation. And of course, we are very happy to discuss with you after about the impact of this concept for cities, for improving the quality of life of citizens based on the main urban social functions.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you.
C'est quel bouton?
Pour avancer, c'est ça.
Okay. Thank you. So the first thing we had to do was to try to discover this territory. And we had the chance to have an entire class of master data training specialized school. And one of these guys is there now, so you can, Eve was part of this team. There was 42 people that we sent on the territory to ask people what do they think about social life quality, what they were thinking on infrastructure and services. So it was the first step to discover the territory. And then with Yves that stayed with us to go deeper in this work, we built a data platform that has 3 components, basically. We have first the ability to collect the data on a platform that will allow to manipulate this data, to classify and to be linked to the ontologies that Carlos presented you. Then we have to represent geographically the data, and especially the ability to analyze where was the center, the new center of this city of high quality social life. It's not maybe the same center that we could think about because it's about proximity living. And third, we had to develop analytics with some model because we wanted not only to work on what was the situation today, but we wanted to project to the future around 2030, because on this territory we have a strong project that will significantly impact this territory. On the top here you have the site of the Olympic Games in 2024. Here you have all the restructuration and regeneration of Paris North railway station, which is deserving Brussels and Amsterdam, as well as we have the East railway station, which serves Strasbourg and Frankfurt. So it's really a territory in very deep transformation. And so the key is to collect data to understand what does it mean. Thank you. So, for the first phase with the students, we tried to collect real words of real people, real citizens, and sometimes not only citizens, but people just having a walk on the territory because they are working there, but they are not living there. We have not to forget these guys. And so we had the ability, for example, to speak about the schools, and on the buffers of 250 meters or 500 meters of 1 kilometer, to have a vision of a perception, what is a good school for my child, what is the quality, what is the perceived quality. That was one thing we begin with. After that, we tried to get back and to get classical figures, but important to analyze in details, because the real story about that is to try to capture the DNA of each neighborhood in terms of service and proximity. So, for example, on this territory, which is more than 300,000 inhabitants, we have a very young population because the top 3 age groups are 25 to 29. And then second one is 0 to 4, so they have babies, good news. As well as 30 to 34 as the third one. And we have a mixed population on this territory of senior manager, retirees, and employee and workers. But if you move to detail of this territory, you will find very different figures and different repartition of these key figures. For example, on the 18th district, you will find less babies, more people between 20 and 40. You will find a better employment rate and a lot of projects of housing, of offices and new shops. Of course, this key data will be very helpful when we will build the projection to see how the population will evolve in the next 10 years. And it's very important to get this data. Okay, for each, to be more precise and to go to the real, at the block level, we have the ability to retrieve data that show us for what is called an INSEE statistical block, which is the lower level where we can have significant statistical data. So we can say that we have low-income housing of 18,250 square meters. We have a nursery in project. We have a lot of projects of new shopping zone, as well as new green spaces that are really missing on this territory. So this, of course, this key data will have an impact on our high-quality societal index. Ça bloque, ah, voilà. Tu commentes la projection? Paul will follow with proposing what we have calculated on the projection of population.
So
The data Lionel just saw you, and we started with the INSEE data called model OMFAL, and we get more precise because when we meet several people of the city, we understood that we need a morphological representation of the city to understand the city. So here it's a representation of it's a morphostatistical subdivision of the city. So it's it's some big blocks of the city. So the projection population aims to understood that the population will grow on the north, and especially, for example, here, where we have many projects of housing, so the population will grow, and understand where precisely where population will grow and where it will decrease, give us the capability to analyze if the equipments already built in the city are in the right place, or if we have to change. Because if I have a school and no more kids, I have to use my equipment to do another thing. Or if I have no school in a place where I build a new house, and especially several programs of housing, I have to build a new one. Here in orange is the projection of the HQSL indicator. So here in red we have that Carlos Morello called us the torch lamp. It's when you are a citizen, you focus about services you need. So when we work with students, they identify that the different citizens have different needs. So here it's not a real-time demo, so I can't show you, but you can come on our stand and call us for a demo. So a person have to focus on what are his needs, and in the yellow zone, approximately everything the person need will be in the 15 minutes around him.
But the key concept here is to say we have different, what we call persona, which are different profile of user. So if I am an inhabitant of this territory, and if my address is at the center, that's maybe the choice I want to make to be sure that I'm at the right place. And maybe if I want to change, I will use my what we call the torch lamp, how to enlighten the right territory with the right needs. The same for the mayor, which is trying to restructure this city and to transform some area because there are changes in the way that the activity has been proposed in terms of how to use the territory, which is very expensive, of course, in Paris. And so he will maybe make other choice, and he will enlighten the territory differently. And we have spoken as well with foreigner tourists. They want to have access to a physician, okay, but that speak English. Maybe he will be on a congress like this in Barcelona for 3 days, and they will have specific needs around. And the quick question, where do I put my hotel, and what are the needs I will fulfill if I put there compared to that other place. So the concept is to have a personalized, what we call a lamp torch, which is a bit how to enlighten the territory considering the needs you have in mind.
So the second approach is to get more stable KPIs. So for example, here in the top right, we have a vision of what is HQSL indicator for the 18th district of Paris. Here it's we try to represent the contribution of each social function. to the HQSL indicator. On the second row, it's some example of services which are in the societal function. So for living, for example, we take low-income housing on park. We didn't collect all the data needed. Carlos Moreno present you all the data needed. We try to collect some of them, and we are working on for others. Here, I want to focus on CHAIRE societal function. This map is not as is interesting, but it's dynamic because we want to introduce to chrono-urbanism. That is what I need and when I need a service. Because if I come from work at 20 p.m., at 8 p.m., and I need a doctor, in this sector, every doctor are closed. Consequently, the only place I can go to is the hospital. And we have only here 2 hospitals in this sector, one here but one on north of this territory. So we have basically a slider. You can show upper left a part of this slider to analyze the distribution of medical services and analyze them for the whole days of the week. So we aren't surprised because on Sunday everything is closed. And at 8 a.m., for example, almost all practitioners are closed too.
And that's an important point, because what we want to do and what is behind the data model, which is behind this tool, is the ability to dissociate an infrastructure and the service delivered by the infrastructure in terms of times, in terms of type of service. For example, we can imagine a school that is giving the right skills to our children between 9 and 5, and on Saturday, which is open as a book library, because there is no book library around in 1 kilometer. And so that's the second use and second usage and second social function of this infrastructure. So the ability to have infrastructure with multiple usage, as well as you can have a service like we have cabaret that are only open at 9 o'clock until 2 in the morning. It's closed in the rest of the day. How could we, to marginal costs, develop new services on this infrastructure if, for example, there is no sport facilities in the neighborhood? And so it's a way to really try to think service, usage, and not only infrastructure and capacity to deliver. And of course, with the digital facilities, we can multiply this example and really create much more flexibility in the ability to access to service for inhabitants.
And next, about CHAIRE, demographical information about generalist practitioner. We know that in 2018 we have we have about 15 practitioners per 1,000 inhabitants, and it will decrease by 50% in 2027.
Yeah, because of retirement.
In the same time, as I showed you just before, the population of the 18th district of Paris will grow because of new housing project due to Olympic Games. And so my caring HQSL score will decrease since 2023 to 2027. So this indicator can help me to find solution and to show me that I need to find solution to correct this indicator. To conclude, this is an HQSL district map. So it's the HQSL indicator project on every district of this territory.
Yeah, of course, one of the things we can do, and especially for mayors of this district, is try to compare and to understand where they are weak and where they are strong in terms of social quality services. And so benchmarking is a tool we can have because we have units very similar because these are statistical units. And so we can help them to position by themselves. Another application that we are pushing after that is to say, okay, mobility in 15 minutes, it's great. How we can try to create the maximum value by promoting biking or green means of transportation. And so we have an idea with our partner, which is SenUp. We propose an eco-blockchain solution on how to create value through this capacity to really change the behavior of every day of the inhabitants using new mobility solutions. So I will let Mathieu explain you what are other ideas on that subject.
Thank you. Actually, once we have the framework and we can shape the city of the future, having a high quality of living, the question is how can we measure the impact we are having on the field? Another way than making impact protocol on the long term, having evaluation, etc. Our idea is to use a technology, it's called blockchain, but it's a detail. The idea is to measure what are the real impact people are having in their territory, to transform it on an asset that can be valued in the strategy, and it can be linked to the framework we just discussed and align with the goals, the sustainable goals that correspond to the problem we have to face in the future. And so first of all, what's the principle is very simple. People living in a territory are locally the one that make the impact. So first, we collect the impact. This data collected thanks to the smart city and all the device we have to collect this data should be personal and very clearly managed. And we use the transparency property of the technology blockchain to keep this transparency and make from this data proof. And these proofs are the ones that are manipulated to create an economy around the impact. And actually, the blockchain we are developed, so I think everybody heard about blockchain. We created our proper blockchain network that is we call an eco blockchain that is sober in terms of energy, because there is no sense calculating impact on a blockchain that have an impact. It's not resource intensive. We only use access to data. We don't copy data, and we try to have a very clear way of managing IT to lower maximum the impact of the technology. We work on this idea of distributed certification. What is the proof of impact is the certification of the impact you made. And this rely on data property, the fact that we know at each stage who the data belongs to, and the data valuation at each stage, we know what this data is collected for and what will be its value in terms of impact. And we will see that to value this, we need a common referential that allow to make this valuation. So we transform data into services that create new usage in a logic of sobriety and frugality in the experience. Maybe here is how it works. Citizens, to make a little draft, we have the user that produce data. This data will be transformed in impact proof that can be manipulated by the companies, collected by the companies, and then through the company, by the collectivity, by the authority. And we can create, thanks to service provider, circular economy around this value created circulation. To be very clear, the example we have experimented in Porte de Paris in the project we are talking about, which is the same territory we just saw, is concern the function of transport between the house and people work location. And the idea of this project is simply to collect the proof of impact of the people that are taking soft mobility from their house to the work. How do we do this? We collect from a tracker the route of the people that are taking the bike. We send it anonymously to a third validator authority that create a proof that is given back to the user. And the user can share this proof with this company. The company become a receptor, a collector of this proof, and can clearly, in their CSR strategy, demonstrate that they have an impact by helping people to shift from the car mobility to the bike mobility. And at scale, we can gather this at the level of a state or a European level and map it to the SDG goals to connect the impact finance to the action of individual people. That's where we are on.
Of course, we are speaking of bicycles, but we could speak as well of car sharing. We could speak as well of public transportation, especially in cities that have decided today to invest in total gratuity, in total transport public totally free, like a city like Dunkerque or like Luxembourg in 2020. So the same concept, the ability to really measure with real facts the impact of an investment, public or private investment, public for local authorities, private for companies that want to engage in that transformation of mobility, especially from house to office, which is a very large part of the mobility and the dioxide carbon impact. So it's really something we can expand to other subjects. Of course, we test it now on Porte de Paris with biking use.
Yeah, exactly. And what we call today proof of mobility can be mapped to several externality, and it's a new way to measure externality linked to the mobility. With bike, you will have the mobility, the proof, the carbon print is one, but you also have the health, you also have the particle in the atmosphere, you also have the circulation impact. You have several impacts that regard the cycling part, but you also have other impact for car sharing, for example, or carpooling. And each kind of proof can be associated to externality that can be linked to a frame that can be at enterprise level, that is CSR, or a European level, that is SDG goals, for example. And just to finish, here is the application we use to do this. An application that tracks the bike route from the employees of the company that are on the experimentation in our Porte de Paris. and then an application that allows automatic collect of death proof. And according to the French law of mobility, we can give money on each payroll according of the number of kilometers people are doing on bike mobility. And we have a campaign manager that can allow companies to make campaign to incentive people to take their bike and to car share, etc. On this one. We have a demonstration if you want to go further on our stand. Thank you.
So, thank you for attending this presentation. We are ready to take questions. So either Carlos or Mathieu or Paul or me. So feel free to have questions, please.
On a combien de temps?
Or any feedback maybe, or any sharing. Something similar somewhere. That's all? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.